In this video, you will learn the 4 most common unintentional attitudes and behaviors that women do that sabotage and push men away. But these are not the obvious ones that most people think of. Instead, these surprising behaviors are done with good intentions, but unfortunately, they end up scaring great men away from you. So if you're single or dating, this is one you don't want to miss. Don't go anywhere because we're starting right now. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borrello and I'm a psychologist and a relationship coach. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy with the people you love. So if you're interested in making your love life the best part of your life, start now by clicking the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you aren't missing anything. Okay, on to the behaviors that scare men off and sabotage your relationship. First, it's very common for 2 people to begin talking and getting to know each other and things start off great. And then after the first or second or after a few dates, the guy suddenly loses interest for no apparent reason. Sound familiar? Well, welcome to dating in 2019. Well, actually, when there is a sudden change in a man's interest without an obvious reason, it's usually because he has a change in belief about you. In other words, something happens. There is some interaction between you two or some behavior that makes him see you differently or believe something different about you. And that causes him to be less attracted and less interested in pursuing a relationship with you. Now, what he thinks isn't necessarily true about you, but it's simply his new perception of you based on his interpretation or misinterpretation of something you've said or done. And the problem? Many women don't recognize the things that they might be doing to trigger those changes in his perception. In other words, they are unknowingly sabotaging their relationships with great guys. That's why I'm going to explain both the beliefs that push him away, as well as some of the possible behaviors that trigger those beliefs. So let's jump right into them. The first and probably most common thing that pushes men away is when, number 1, he believes that you are insecure, needy, or clingy. And of course, those are unattractive traits that cause you to lose value to him. Now, those things could be completely untrue about you, but regardless, if he thinks those things about you, good luck in changing his mind. If he thinks it, you become less attractive and his feelings will change. That's why it's important to know and avoid the behaviors that might trigger those feelings. Now, there are so many behaviors that are consistent with insecurity and neediness. Some are obvious, some are not so obvious. But I'm going to talk about 3 common ones. The first is when you frequently check in for reassurance or to see if he's still interested, or ask him how he feels about you. This can become a sign of insecurity in his eyes. Let me explain. It's normal to want to know if you're on the same page with regard to your feelings and intentions. However, frequently asking him how he feels or for reassurance is a problem. If this is you, then you probably ask multiple times. Are we good? Are you still interested in getting to know each other? Are you sure? But why does this happen? Well, suppose the last 4 or 5 people you dated ended up ghosting you. It would be natural to have some perpetual feeling that things are on the cusp of falling apart. I mean, it's happened the last 4 or 5 times. So it's understandable that you might be cautiously looking for the signs that things are going to go wrong and that the relationship is about to come crashing down. On the other hand, asking for reassurance shows him that you are insecure, and that lowers your value in his eyes, and that becomes a huge disadvantage. It shows him that you are afraid of losing him, and then you are no longer the prize. You are no longer the challenge. Again, you just lowered your value. Another less obvious sign of insecurity is what I like to call false confidence. When I think of false confidence, I think of a person who makes it a point to always tell you who they are rather than show you. People with false confidence are those who boast about their looks, how many people like them or want them, and they're quick to share all of their accomplishments. Now, I know that most women don't go out of their way to brag about their looks or how many guys want them when they're on a date. No, instead, it happens when they are feeling insecure or maybe worried about being rejected by the guy they want. Here's an example. A woman has plans to go out with the guy that she's dating, but something comes up and he needs to cancel. And perhaps this is the second time that it's happened. And so on the phone, she starts talking about the 4 guys that are dying to take her out, or how she turned down 2 other guys to go out with him. That's the kind of false confidence that I'm referring to. It's triggered by insecurity. Again, the reason they brag or boast, well, it's because she feels insecure about herself and believes that bragging is going to boast her image. Instead, it does the opposite. The third behavior that makes him believe that you're insecure or needy can be triggered when you over-text and over-communicate. Keeping in regular contact with the person you're dating is usually so sweet. It's like you're sharing your day with someone, almost as if they are keeping you company and making your day more enjoyable. As long as the communication is balanced, meaning he is initiating the conversation at least 50% of the time. On the other hand, if you're the one that is usually contacting him a lot more, like if the communication is very imbalanced, it won't be long before he'll begin to see you as needy and clingy. So, answer these questions. Do you get anxious if he doesn't respond right away? Does your heart drop when you realize he hasn't texted back for a while? Do you start worrying that something is wrong? If so, that's a problem. And if you double and triple texting him without a response, that adds to your anxiety and raises the clinginess index tremendously. And he will undoubtedly feel your insecurity and neediness, and that becomes very unattractive. Number 2, he doesn't think you have a life because you're always available for him. As I've said in other videos, one of the most important traits that men find attractive in women is independence. In other words, men are attracted to women who have a full life, not to women who come off as needy and clingy. Look, I understand that when you're excited about someone, you want to spend as much time with them as possible. But you must make sure that you are keeping up with the life you had prior to meeting him. And you can't stop doing the things you were doing before you met him. So, make and keep plans with your girlfriends and keep your schedule busy. This goes a long way towards helping him to see you as a high-value woman with an exciting life. And when you do that, he's going to want to be a part of that. And when he isn't, he's going to feel that too. So yeah, if you have your own life, men will find that independence sexy. It reminds him that he isn't the center of your world. So therefore, he has to put in more effort to get to spend time with you. So keep active with the friendships and activities you had before you met him, because that's what made you who you are. Remember, your relationship started because of who you are. If you lose your identity, you will likely lose the relationship too. Number 3, he doesn't appreciate you because you don't allow him to pursue you. Why does this happen? Well, oftentimes it's because you are pursuing him. And for so many reasons, that becomes unattractive to so many men. Instead, you have to lean back and let a man put in some effort to prove he's worthy of your time. That means that you have to stop pursuing him. That means that you have to stop texting him in between dates. And you cannot be initiating communications with him. Instead, you must let him do it. Look, I know this is a difficult one to do because you like him, you miss him, and you want to talk to him. It's hard not to reach out because you want to be connected and communicating. But if you want a man to really want you, you must pull away and allow him to miss you. Allow him to pursue you. He's a man and he needs to do that. Remember, people appreciate and value the things that they have to work hard for. If you give him all of your affection and time and attention in the beginning, what does he have to work hard for? And consequently, you lose value and his attraction goes down. So do not initiate calls or text to him. Notice I didn't say ignore him or stop communicating. I'm saying stop being the one that's always looking for him and starting the communications. In other words, you're not the one who's going to be starting the day with a good morning call or text. Instead, let him do it. Let him begin to wonder how you feel. Let him begin to wonder if you've been thinking about him. Trust me, silence speaks volumes, and he will usually start to pursue you again quickly. Oh, and make him wait a little bit before you return his calls and texts. Doing so will certainly increase his yearning for you. Number 4, you are trying to push him towards a relationship. I know it's difficult to not think about the future when you really like someone. At the same time, it's important to cool your jets and let the relationship evolve naturally and not even consider committing before you've really gotten to know someone. So take that goal out of your mind, because when you make something a goal, you start planning and living in the future, and then you're constantly measuring your progress towards that goal. That means that you're not really being present when you're with him. Everything you do is unconsciously slanted towards accomplishing your goal, and even worse, everything he does that makes you worried about your goal happening is going to make you upset and ruin the dynamic between you two. So for the first little while, just enjoy the time you spend with each other as much as you can and let whatever will happen between you happen. Otherwise, you could wind up unconsciously pushing him away without even realizing it. Now, the most important part of the video. Why does this keep happening to me, and how can I turn things around? For most people, there are two reasons. It happens when you start thinking of this new person as the one, or when you start daydreaming and romanticizing a relationship that doesn't even exist yet and may never exist. So instead of being able to be present and engaged in this moment, you're stuck in a future where you're assuming so much, you're daydreaming and fantasizing of all of the amazing times that you'll share. And that causes you to elevate the importance of this relationship a great deal. And when you put too much into this outcome, you become too invested in a future that you can't control. And that causes anxiety. When you really like someone, when you really want someone, the stakes are higher. The level of importance you attach to that person is higher. And your level of anxiety and fear of losing that person goes way up. And when that happens, any insecurities that you may have about the relationship, about dating that person, well, they manifest in your interactions with him. And guess what happens? He feels it. He notices those insecurities, and it lowers your value in his eyes and makes you seem needy or clingy or even desperate. And then before you know it, he's running for the hills. That's why you must stop looking for a relationship to reassure you. Remember, feeling secure comes from inside of you. And if you don't feel worthy, if you don't know your value, it won't matter how smart or sexy or worthy or attractive your partner tells you that you are, it just won't stick. And you'll need more and more reassurance to temporarily fill you up again. That's why you must strive to feel okay within yourself. You need to love yourself and accept who you are. Then you can be fully accepting of the love and affection your partner directs towards you. But as we discussed before, practicing self-love in the context of a new relationship is often easier said than done. When we want another person, we often do things that we think will win their affection. And in doing so, we often engage in behaviors that are anything but self-loving. The good news is that, like any relationship, strengthening your relationship with yourself and practicing self-love is something that you can learn to do. So if you're interested in learning more about practicing self-love, click here to watch this video now, or click here to watch the video that YouTube thinks that you like. And if you found this video helpful, please take a moment to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be the first to get our new videos when they are released. I'll see you in the next video.